Hi there, this is Rich Groff from RG Performance Sales Coaching and Leadership Development. Today I'm responding to one of my comments on my videos, and it comes around that whole concept of the ideal prospect. And what they're asking is, how do we work with sales prospects who are just looking? I don't care who you are, if you're involved in any kind of selling whatsoever or any kind of customer service, you're going to find out about people who are just looking. So today we're going to talk about just lookers. So just looking. And these are important. Sometimes we could call that an objection, but really when you really take a look at it, it's actually a kind of a nervous response that people go through in the buying cycle. You think about it. You've been in a store before. You probably walked in and you probably had something on your mind where you wanted to purchase something. And maybe you don't do it all the time, but you can walk right into that store with a purpose to buy a shoe or to turn around and buy a coat. And you'll walk in and the sales clerk will come up and they'll say, "Can I help you?" And your first response is, "I'm just looking." And that really shows up a lot, and it's what I call the first objection. The first objection is the objection that naturally just comes out of our lips without us even thinking. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, or what I call a spontaneous reaction to being approached in the sales process. So you got to know the first objection always happens. So how do we handle the first objection? You're always going to have that little bit of resistance. It's going to show up either at the beginning, in the first couple of interactions that you're going to have, and it's just going to be blurted out. It's probably something that people aren't even thinking about. So you got to know how to handle that. I was taught, in my training as a salesperson years ago, the best way to actually change that is actually not pursue the client. And so what you would do is you would actually acknowledge the client coming into your store or location or wherever you're going, but you would not hunt them down and say, "Can I help you?" Because that only leads to the same objection. So if you just say, "Hi, how you doing? I'll be with you in a few minutes." By the time they walk around there, you have a little bit of conversation back and forth. And if you look like you're busy doing something and you get to them later on, by the time you get to them, that first reaction's gone because they feel comfortable again. So that, it's really what I call a deferral. So if you're in a sales process or you're working with anybody you're involved with in the sales process as a buyer, the first objection is always deferred. So deferral is really not, not pushing it away, but it's really acknowledging and saying, "We'll get to it later." And so deferring the objection can really be a blessing if you're in a sales process. Just acknowledge that it's there and then work around it. So if you can turn around and make it so it doesn't happen, if you're getting the same objection all the time, you may want to turn around, and if it's happening at the same place in your sales process, take a look at what you're saying just before that and see if there's something you can do to tweak it so that you can change the way the outcome comes. That's just natural and normal, and that's what we'll probably do. Now, what does that mean to you, though, as the sales leader in this sales process? Let me show you what I'm thinking here. There is a sales process that for buyers. So the buyer's process really has 7 steps to it. And in those 7 steps, I try and encourage all of my clients and all of the people that I teach in my seminars that in those 7 steps, the first 3 or 4 are all what I call logical. And that's I need to decide if this is something that's valuable to me. I'm going to do a value proposition on it. I'm going to get more information. I'm going to see which process I need or which product I need, pardon me. I'm going to look at all those different things. And somewhere in this, around halfway, they shift into emotion. So when you get this particular just looking, they're at the very, very, very beginning. They're right here. They're just getting going in the process. Now that doesn't mean that they don't need any help. In today's marketplace, we have Google. And Google will allow us to look up anything that we want and get enormous amounts of information. The bad part is we don't know what the information means, usually. We don't know, with all the different opinions on the internet, which ones we're supposed to be considering, which ones we don't. And so they will still need to, the buyers or the sellers, or pardon me, the buyers are still going to need to turn around and search out an expert to find out how to figure out what they really want and need. So they may be at the beginning here, and they may be just looking, which is 100% accurate on what somebody's doing. They're looking around trying to grab information. Do I want the one, the car that's got a 4-door, 2-door? Do I want these features? Do I want that warranty? Which manufacturer is best for me? What style of vehicle? They're going to want to go through that entire process. And yes, they're just looking. However, that information process is different for every single person. So one person, that might be 2 questions. and the next person could be 2 years. And so you got to know that the longer that you're willing to stay with them through this process, the less likely you're going to lose a qualified individual. Because the next time that they come through the door, they've got information. Now they're at the stage where they're starting to get a little bit more, can you tell me a little bit more about the specifics about this particular vehicle? And they've narrowed it down to 1 or 2. Now, wouldn't it be great that you would never have your just looker go and leave your place of business or leave your service industry and go to someone else? Because if you could keep those people when they're just looking, even if it takes a year, 2 years, 6 months, 5 months, 2 days, whatever, 2 hours, you got to know that the just lookers turn into just buyers as a certain amount of percentage in each industry. So why not just take that and put that to use? Matter of fact, in certain industries like the car industry, they can tell where you're at in the sales process, and they know that if you come onto the lot and you're looking at a vehicle, you actually take it for a test drive, how long it is before you're going to be making a purchase. They know that, and they know at what percentage rate you're going to get those people making a purchase. And they know if you can take the vehicle home for an evening, the likelihood of purchase goes way up and the time frame goes way down. So, you know, all of those statistics really do make a big difference because it changes the way that we look. I know that some people get really frustrated with tire kickers because they eat up a lot of time. And you can help that process out by getting people very clear and guiding them through the process so they're not jumping all over the place getting information. And if you are the person that they're coming to as the industry expert to get all the information, more than likely just lookers are going to stick with you and make just purchases. Now, I've seen some brilliant people do this. I remember one individual in the real estate industry in Toronto, and his statistics were just bizarre. If he got a phone call about somebody who was just looking, he could convert those people over to a buyer, and he would have them purchasing in no time. And so how do you actually manage to do that? Well, it's the little things. It's sticking with them, guiding them through the process, knowing what the next step is for them, and taking them to the next step. So it's really about in your head when it comes to just lookers. You have to decide in your mind whether that's a potential client that you're going to work with, and you're going to take them to the next step, or you're going to turn around and get really kind of irritated with their inquiries and just push them off. Now, I've been on both sides of this fence as a buyer, and I got to tell you, it's really disheartening from a buyer's perspective to walk onto a site. I'm thinking when we were buying our RV, I actually walked onto an RV site, and the salesperson there didn't have the time of day for me. Now, he didn't think that we were going to make a purchase. Why? Because we were out Sunday shopping, just taking a look around, and he literally just told me, go take a look, and if you find something you like, let me know. He wouldn't even answer my questions. I was so kind of disorientated with what he had done that I got really mad, and we never ever visited that site again. We never went back there and purchased, but we did purchase something, and it was substantial. And so that individual lost tens of thousands of dollars in a sale that he could have made because he just didn't want to turn around because I was just looking that day. Now, it didn't take that long either. We were looking one day, and literally 3 months later we purchased. So it wasn't a long period of time. So how does that happen for you? I'm not sure. You need to decide what you're going to do, but I got to tell you, when people come in from your traction cycle and you have certain things that you're doing all the way through, and you get somebody 2 years down the line that says, hey, Rich, we made, or we contacted you at such and such a time, or we've been in contact or whatever, and can we talk more? It's free money. It's absolutely free money. We've already done the work. And so we're just building the relationship. So it's really important that you don't lose good potential possible clients. And so I'm encouraging you to take your just lookers who are just looking and consider them as buyers at the beginning of the buying cycle so that you can help them better get where they need to go. This has been Rich Groff, RG Performance Sales Coaching and Leadership Development. Hope this little tidbit helps you out when it comes to deciding how you're going to handle just lookers. See you then.